The following is a production of Stevenson Media. Sunrise. A symbol that a new day has begun. A new opportunity to build, to grow, or to start over. The sun will rise some nearly 30,000 times in the average person's lifespan. But how many of you taken the time to stop and appreciate? At Fair Dinkum Coffee Shop, we understand that sunrise is where dreams become reality, where champions begin their journey, and where a warm smile and a great cup of coffee can make the rest of your day. That's why every day we handcraft our coffee, from the roaster all the way to your cup. Why is it our mission to make you a great cup of coffee and put a smile on your face? Well, for us, that's like watching the sun come up. Fair Dinkum Coffee Shop. Make the best of your sunrise. Proudly serving Wimberley, Texas.
Houston, Texas, the Bayou City, Space City, Clutch City, the H. No matter what you call Houston, as long as you call it home, then you know that down here, we're all about culture. From legendary barbecue, historic rodeos, and a unique slab culture that has completely changed the game. Never underestimate the heart of a Houstonian, because when our backs are against the wall, you better believe that we're gonna come through in the clutch. Speaking of clutch, our sports teams know a little something about that too. It's a great time to be a sports fan in the city of Houston. The Astros have been the most dominant team in baseball going on a decade, and the Houston Texans have found their quarterback of the future. Hell, even the Dynamo are trying to add a few more trophies to the case. And the new look Rockets finally have the leadership they've been desperately seeking. With a combination of rising young stars and seasoned vets, they are looking to establish themselves as a force to be reckoned with. What more could the city ask for? How about a podcast from someone who lives and breathes with every snap, every pitch, and every tip-off at center court, just like you do. Someone who's been repping H-Town 10 toes down since he was prone on the floor and will be until they put him in the dirt. Someone who's watched the Houston Legends put our city on the map and is ready to witness a new era of greatness. The national media ain't putting in work to cover our teams the way that you deserve. Nick Stevenson may not be the voice that Houston asked for, but he's definitely the voice that we need. So what it do, H-Town? Are you ready to hold it down for the greatest city in the world? Houston Sports State of the Union Podcast.
With your hands on my chest, you're an artist with your body. Closer and closer, you're all over me, as the passion's running wild and free. Your eyes roll, you take control. I'm so love drunk that I drank you up.
Want to tip the host? Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Get a free Houston Sports State of the Union podcast t-shirt with a donation of $50 or more.
This is the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, the president of Houston Sports Nation, Nick Stevenson.
My goodness, thank you. Please be seated. My fellow Houstonians, welcome to the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast address for the week of April 14th. I am the self-appointed president of Houston Sports Nation, Nick Stevenson. You could have been anywhere else in the world right now, and you decided to spend some time with me, and I appreciate that so much. We got a lot to talk about. On tonight's show, leadership is the subject at hand. We will assess the leadership among all of our Houston sports franchises, compliments and critiques. Also, as tonight, as the NBA play-in begins, the Houston Rockets are not in it. We will put their season to bed for once and for all. We'll give them a grade. We'll look at the outlook for next season. And we will say farewell to one Houston Rocket who is truly a man of the people. The Astros continue to struggle, but not as much as the fans. Fans, can we please stop doing the wave? First of all, let's stop doing it, period. But especially in a two-run game. We'll get to that later as well. The Houston Texans are really hyping up these new uniforms. They better be worth the wait, because all I know is they better be fire. And we will have our first visit from one of our correspondents. Mike Duncan is joining us to talk Houston Dynamo and all the reasons that you should be paying attention to them. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And then lastly, we will grade the leadership of yours truly, the president of Houston Sports Nation. I have done 5 Houston Sports State of the Union addresses, and I need to give myself a grade on what my leadership has been like over the last 5 weeks. But really quick, before we do all of that, I want to remind you of the ways that you can support the show if you choose to. You're doing one of them right now. You're listening, you're watching, hopefully you're sharing with your friends. Hopefully you're hitting the follow button, the like button, the subscribe button, smashing those 5-star reviews. If you're enjoying this content and you're a Houston sports fan, I want you to share it with your friends who are also Houston sports fans. Also, if you look in the show notes or the description of the video that you're watching or audio that you're listening to, you will see a link in there for my tip jar. This QR code right here also will send you to that tip jar. Anything you donate to the show, as always, will go directly back into bringing you guys more content. If you make a donation of $50 or more, I will send you a brand new Houston Sports State of the Union podcast t-shirt. And then we have affiliate links also inside the description. Right now, the Houston Fan Gear of the Week is available there. If you're looking to get some Houston sports swag, all of our teams are represented, including the Dynamo. You go in there, you click that link. If you buy from my link, I'll get a little bit of change from it. And I always appreciate that. Once again, that money will go back into the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast to continue bringing you content. And lastly, if you would like to sponsor the show, I'm actually in talks with some people who have questioned about sponsorship. We haven't put anything on ink yet, but there are some people who are paying attention and would like to help grow my business, me help grow your business. Let's do it together, man. I look so forward to having the ability to represent you and your business and represent the community as well. So those are all the ways you can support the show. If you have been doing that over these last 4 or 5 weeks, thank you so much. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. All right. I told you guys, speaking of leadership, one quality of good leadership is knowing what you don't know. And I told you guys from the beginning, I want to talk about Houston Dynamo, but I don't really know a lot about Houston Dynamo. I don't really know about soccer, but that's why I got some help. I got our correspondent, Mike Duncan. It is my pleasure to introduce him to you. So let's do the state of the Houston Dynamo. All right, Mike Duncan, thank you so much for being here. The X handle is at Mike Duncan09. Mike Duncan is a 12-year season ticket holder to the Houston Dynamo, 18 years a fan of the team. They've been here since 2006. He's also a Liverpool fan, and he used to play soccer. Actually, he still does play soccer for an over 30 league. So I wanted to let you guys know this man is qualified to have this conversation. I found somebody far more qualified than me. Mike, thank you so much for joining, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. It's been a while since I first contacted you. Actually, Ozil My good buddy and mentor put us in contact with one another, and it didn't take long after talking to you a couple of times. I was like, this is the right guy. This is the guy I need here. First of all, I want you to go ahead and show off that jersey that you're wearing. I think it is slick. I really, really dig it. That is the purple drink version of the Houston Dynamo, and I think that is the perfect example of how the Dynamo really want to ingratiate themselves to this city. And so I brought you here because I want you to tell us, you understand the state of soccer in the United States. American football is probably the most popular sport in the States, but everywhere else in the world, soccer or football is the most popular sport all over the world. So the reason I wanted to bring you on, I want you to tell my listeners, and I will let you take the floor, why should Houston be paying attention to the Houston Dynamo, to MLS, and to the sport of soccer in general?
Well, I think we can start in the beginning. When the team moved here from San Jose in 2006, right off the bat, they won back-to-back championships. This is when they were playing at Robertson Stadium, where the U of H Cougars played, and they won these back-to-back championships, and they got a lot of buzz right off the bat. They had some dynamic players to come through the years, but just like many other Houston sports, maybe after that first decade, things starts dying out. The original manager moves on, and they're in a rebuilding phase, and so things, it loses its thunder over time, fan base over time, and during a rebuild, Astros done it, Rockets are doing it. It takes time. Yeah. And fans aren't patient that way of letting a 2 or 3 year project start and paying money to see the team lose. As a season ticket holder, it's hard to go to games, and that you're playing 500 or under 500 wins and losses. So it's been a challenge, but I say right now we have a new owner for the Houston Dynamo, Ted Segal. He has invested in this team. He has invested in the general manager and started with the players. So the first big move that we have been asking for as fans is get a big name player to H-Town. Right. And they've done that. Last year, they signed Hector Herrera, who is a Mexican national player. He's a big time player. He was playing with Atletico Madrid, and we were able to land him. And this was huge. One, obviously, with the fan base we have here, a huge Latin fan base. Right. It was big news. And he really has changed the dynamic on the field. He has been a big, torchbearer to help grow the game here in Houston and for MLS. And it's just nice that we've actually got somebody that has some clout, has some name, has some recognition, rather than just sort of being a small mom and pop club with a bunch of players you know nothing about. I will say also too that the thing that got me into this team right away, obviously the champions, that's a big win. But the first time I went to a game at Robertson Stadium, it was the atmosphere, which was amazing. Again, I talk about this Latin-based sort of a mixed pot. This is Houston, right? Where we come from everywhere, all kinds of backgrounds. And at that time, 2 supporters groups were at U of H at Robertson Stadium, El Batallón and Texan Army. They bring their drums, they bring their horns, they bring their chants, and they go from the beginning to the end of the game nonstop. And it just gives this amazing tribal feel, just such a good, positive vibe. No matter what the score is, you're just into the game. And to me, that was such a big plus because, again, I'm smart enough to know that the average fan goes to see a soccer game and they see a 1-1 draw, 0-0. How am I going to stay engaged in this game? Right. And I'll tell you, it's the supporters groups that keep you engaged. Yeah. You want to say the chants. You want to be involved. You want to, be part of this. And that's what made it an amazing thing too. And then the other thing too is what it does for families and friends. It's very inexpensive to go to a game. You can go for $20. There's not a bad seat in the house. Yeah. And it's super entertaining. Also, the other teams, they also have superstars. So, you may pay $20 or $30 and you're able to see, maybe a Messi, maybe not. But they also, everybody tries to get at least one superstar on their team and bring them through too. So a lot of it too, as teams like LA or New York or teams like that come through, you definitely want to be part of it. And then of course now we have our interstate Texas rivalries.
Right.
We hate Dallas, right?
Of course.
And now Austin has come on the scene, and they want to push Matthew McConaughey in our face and say that they're the green machine, and it's fun, to be honest with you. When those supporters groups are here, we have fun. Yeah, we get after it, and we yell at them, they yell at us. But I'll tell you, overall, it's a good experience. It's a fun experience to just do that with the interstate rivalries.
Yeah, of course. And I do want to hit on a couple of things that you said. I have always heard that atmosphere in those games is what really, goosebumps is things that I've oftentimes heard, like just the energy that you feel. And you talked about how, sometimes it could be a 1-0 game, but I think in another kind of niche sport that is a really exciting sport that not a lot of people think about, it's that build up to the goal that often happens like in hockey, that build up to the goal and the anticipation of it. And I've experienced that myself. I told you when we, did some of our practices, is that I've watched very exciting soccer matches before and been engaged. So I know that sometimes it gets a bad shtick because a game might end in a tie or it might end 0-0 or something like that. But I've always heard the atmosphere is what makes it. And I wanted to ask you about that move from San Jose. I've lived in California. There's obviously a very large Latino population in California as well. But do you feel like Houston was a better suited city from San Jose, because Houston is just a gumbo pot? I mean, I'm pretty sure all of the Latin countries are represented somewhere in Houston.
Yeah, it's funny that San Jose allowed the team to move and relocate to Houston, which I do think was the right move. At that time, MLS had very few teams, probably 10 or 12 teams total. But within a couple years, San Jose got another team, which is still very strange to all of us. They got a soccer-specific stadium, and there's always been talk too that even now that they can't support their club, the stadium's half empty.
Oh wow!
San Jose is kind of it's a niche market too. But for that move at that time, it was absolutely perfect. Houston was definitely crying out for a team, and we needed to be represented. If we didn't have a soccer team here in Houston, it just didn't make any sense for sure. So it was the right time to move back then to create a team and start establishing ourselves. Yeah,
I believe that. I agree with that 100%. That because, like I said, it's such a melting pot, it would be the perfect place to put a worldwide sport like soccer. I wanted to ask you, because the theme of today, we're kind of talking about leadership. I wanted to ask you what, or maybe you feel like there isn't anything. What do you feel like the Dynamo has done, could do to reach out to the community and really ingratiate themselves and maybe try to increase the popularity? Like, what would you grade them on that?
Yeah. So I would say the grade right now, and over the years, has really probably been a D+. Yes, they do some outreach things. They might show up at a community park with a player or two with some swag, handing out some gear. They also, on the away games, might pick a sports bar to be at to, again, hand out some gear. It's not been enough, to be honest. It's not enough. I will say that the ownership, we've had two owners, but the ownership has done a lot to invest in the team. They've done a lot to invest in the general manager and bring a new head coach over. But what about us? And again, they need to do more to get us involved and say the new fans involved. They can do new ticket prices. They can do giveaways. But what are you going to do to get me inspired, to get me involved in it? And one of the things that I think that we're lacking here is some depth of these players. Who are these guys? What are they about? Where did they come from? Learning their stories. We live in the Netflix world, right? We want the docuseries. Right. We want these little mini series on these guys. Because once you find out about these players, then you care about them. You want to follow them. You're like, hey, I'm rooting for this guy. This guy went through hell to get here. This one, he's got a pregnant wife at home and a sick child. And this one's got, he comes from this country or that country. right now, if you looked at this team, you just don't recognize many players on this team. And so again, where's the care factor? You get that with the Astros, you get that with the Texans, and even with the Rockets, where you find out you have some depth, some analysis. And I just think MLS in general and Houston Dynamo just don't let you know enough about these guys to care. Again,
what do you
doing
think
some
they,
small.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just like, even online on their Houston Dynamo website, just do some small bios on these guys. Just have some fun, do some interviews, get them uncomfortable, let them talk about some things. And then again, just documentaries are just super hot right now. You watch anything. There's a Wrexham documentary out there now. Ryan Reynolds bought a team in Wales, and they show this documentary on FX. And right now, Wrexham FC is one of the biggest brands in the United States of America, and they play in Wales in a second division. And the reason they're so popular is they are putting it in front of you. Right. It's making you care about it. My wife, who could care less about it, is watching this documentary, saying it's so cool, so fun, so interesting. Ted Lasso just created a lot of buzz around the game. So the reason people don't watch soccer and watch Ted Lasso is for the stories. So again, I think we got to create a little bit of that so that we get involved with these players and they have some more depth to them.
So you would say MLS needs to do a better job marketing the players?
They do. Again, now Apple TV and MLS, they have the rights to it. And there are some mini series on many clubs, many teams. They are fully invested in the Messi project. So those that don't know, Lionel Messi, one of the greatest players in the world, plays for Miami FC. And now they have also created a super team, and they are bringing Suarez and Busquets and Jordi Alba to the club. And they're basically rebuilding the Barcelona 2015 team in Miami. I think that's great for the short term. I think that's going to hurt a lot of clubs down the road because, again, yes, they're paying good money to see Messi play, and that's good. A lot of jerseys are selling.
The competitive factor is not there now.
Yeah, and again, what does MLS want to happen? Do they want Messi to just sweep every tournament, everything, win every trophy, and then what? Yeah. So, are we as a Dynamo fan, or we as a club, we're just supposed to lose to them? We're just supposed to just be the, club that always loses so that these guys can be, like what LeBron did when he went to Miami and built a super club, right? It doesn't need to be like that. There has to be balance in it.
Yeah. So my contention has always been, I think this is what MLS and soccer should do. You would probably agree, among 3, 4, 5, 6 to maybe 8 years old, soccer is probably the most played sport that there is. But generally around 8, kids start playing basketball. They start playing baseball. They start playing football. I think MLS needs to get out in the community and talk to these kids, have community programs, have camps, and get these kids to stay in soccer. And I think what that's going to do is going to be an investment over time. I think eventually you'll start seeing the world's, the country's best athletes, playing soccer instead of jumping to one of these other sports. And so I agree with you 100%. Whether or not they're going to do that, I don't know if that's going to take outcry from season ticket holders. I don't know what their incentive is going to be. But I feel like if I were running a league and it was struggling to gain a wider popularity, that's where I would start. Let's get in these neighborhoods. Let's get in the urban neighborhoods. Let's go to the neighborhoods where the kids are playing basketball, where the kids are playing football, and let's introduce them to this game. And another thing, you brought up Apple TV. I wanted to say there's probably a lot of people who think to themselves, I'd like to catch a Dynamo game. Let me flip through the TV and see where it's at. And then they can't find it. So I think you had brought up that right now Apple TV Plus has the MLS package exclusively, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And and I checked, it's $12.99 if you guys are interested. I'm sure they have you can do yourself a free trial if you want to just check out some games for a little bit. But also, like you said, we have a team here. The tickets aren't that expensive. You said $20 each, and that'll get you anywhere in the stadium?
In the 200 section, and I'll say that the Shell Energy Stadium, there's not a bad seat in the house.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's the 200 section, which is just the next section up. it's a good, very good seat up there too. So yeah, $20 gets you up there, and they also have all kinds of things for, like a 4-ticket special.
Yeah.
You've got mini plans, so there's a lot of ways to go for cheap,
Well,
for sure.
I will be signing up for the MLS package this evening, actually. And I'm going to take the kids to go see a game because I want to experience this atmosphere that everybody's been telling me about. And I'm really looking forward to it. And honestly, Mike, I am so thankful for you to come in here and shed some light on the subject. I'm thankful. And we're definitely going to have you on. I think we're trying to do at least maybe once or twice a month. You come in and we talk some Dynamo soccer, and I want to learn about the game. I want to know what I'm looking at, and I want to help maybe some of our, listeners, some of my viewers that maybe think that they don't want to watch soccer. Maybe if they give it a try, it's something that they'll fall in love with. Let's talk about really quick your 30 and up league. You guys keep score, you keep records. How's that going?
Oh yeah. So for us that still think we have a little bit left in the tank, there's a over 30 league that we play in at Torso, which is a group of, for us, it's co-eds. And we all go out there saying, look, we have to go to work on Monday. That's the motto. So let's take it easy. But actually take it from me. Last October, I tore my ACL and my meniscus playing.
Ooh, no way.
So it's still intense and it's still real, and you can still really get hurt.
Yeah.
But it's the love for the game too that we all have and we all share. So it's still a great thing. And so I've got a son too, 8 years old. Has been playing since he was 3, really since he was born, playing.
Yeah.
And this is a good segue too, even for me to know about this grassroots. So many clubs out there, so many opportunities besides just the little recreational leagues. Now, because of the global game and because of the great broadcasting that's happening between the Premier League and the Spanish League, there's so many clubs just in Houston. There's PSG and there's Liverpool, but they're smaller for the kids that you can get involved with their clubs. Barcelona. So it's really good thing too. And again, that's an opportunity for the Dynamo to tap into that because, again, I've been to a lot of games and I don't see any Dynamo. Now, the Dynamo do have a junior team. They do have a team out there in the Woodlands that they are affiliated with. So, again, they're trying. We'll do baby steps. And I think as this podcast continues to, again, we are just talking high level stuff right now, and we can dig into the nuts and bolts and stats.
No, man. And honestly, man, I would love for this podcast to be a part of that movement to help create some more soccer fans, man. So I appreciate so much you coming on. Thank you so much for your insight. I can't wait till the next time we do it. You guys go follow at Mike Duncan 09 on X. He's Michael Duncan on Facebook. You will hear from him again. He is our now established soccer correspondent, man. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, bud. We'll talk to you later.
All right.
All right. That was Michael Duncan. And I can't thank that guy enough for coming on and doing the show because I don't know anything about the game of soccer other than my daughter played for a little while and she was at the level where they're just running around chasing the ball. But if you're going to represent H-Town 10 toes down, we have to embrace all of our sports teams. And I really look forward to going to a Dynamo game. I am going to go ahead and get that MLS package so I can watch them on television. And if you are a little skeptical that you won't like soccer, maybe we'll have an opportunity to give away some tickets so you guys can go to the game with me and we'll experience together. So once again, I want to thank Mike. Thank everybody who's in on the chat. I see you guys there. I've got a couple of Facebook users. You're going to have to give Restream permission to show your username so that I know who you are when you're commenting. But I see Chopping It Up with P. Scott, my buddy Prescott Kelly. Thank you so much for coming in, man. It's been a minute since you caught the show live. My good friend Chris Rivers just popped in. He said, does the president have a VP now? We're not going to quite go VP yet. We're not going to quite go VP, but he's in the cabinet. We'll put it that way. He's in the cabinet. And I appreciate so much that he came on and talked Houston sports and talked Dynamo with us. All right, man. I never thought I'd ever spend that much time talking about soccer on this show. And you guys are still here, so I appreciate that very, very much. Let's go ahead and move on and talk about the state of the Houston Rockets. Okay. We want to grade the job that Rafael Stone and Ime Udoka have done this season. The Rockets are at 41-41 at the end of the season. That is a 19-game improvement. That is the best game improvement they've had since between 1984 and 1985 when they drafted Hakeem Olajuwon. So there's a lot of people who deserve some credit for that, I believe. And one of them we'll start with is Rafael Stone. What should we give Rafael Stone credit for? Number one, I would give him credit for drafting Amen Thompson, who had an incredible rookie season, even with the injuries, and Cam Whitmore. Getting Cam Whitmore at 20, to me, it's already obvious that that's the steal of last year's draft. And between the two of them, and you've got Tari Eason, you've got Alperen Şengün, Jalen Green finally woke up 3/4 of the way through the season. You've got some stuff there to work with now. You've got enough talent to have a great starting five and even some young talent off the bench. Now, Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün are about to be eligible for contract extensions. Rafael Stone's grade is going to depend on how he handles that situation. Me personally, I would extend Şengün. I think he's shown enough. I would make Jalen Green prove to me he could do it for a whole year. That's just my opinion. But I want to give him credit for his draft. I want to give him credit for hiring Ime Udoka, despite the controversy that Ime Udoka had faced. Now, the credit for that may go to Tillman Fertitta, but, I mean, he is the GM, so I'm sure he was part of the process. I want to give him credit for not injecting himself into a coaching role. There was a lot of rumors when Steven Silas was here that Rafael Stone was going into practice. He was trying to run practice. He was trying to install plays. That's just not what you want your GM doing. And that's why there was a lot of turmoil and a lot of dysfunction in the Steven Silas era. I want to give him credit for taking the back seat and saying, Ime, this is your job. You do it. And he did a good job of bringing in good professional veterans. Fred VanVleet, he's not the greatest shooter. He doesn't have a lot of size. There's a lot of times he can get bullied when people are giving him that full court press, but he's got a good handle. He's smart. He's tough. I think he was the right veteran to bring on this team. And they did his contract in a way that by the time it's time to pay the big money to Jalen and Alperen, if that comes, he's not going to have any guaranteed money. So I give kudos to, I just smacked myself with the microphone. I give kudos to Rafael Stone for making very wise and smart decisions once Ime Udoka arrived. I think a coach and GM relationship is probably more important than we realize, and they seem to be working well together so far. What do we give Ime Udoka credit for? Well, I would say, first of all, establishing an identity and a toughness on this team. When Steven Silas was here, it kind of felt like the Rockets just rolled the ball out on the court and played AAU ball. There wasn't a lot of structure to the offense. There was a lot of ISO. They did play some pick and roll, but they didn't execute pick and roll very well. So, and I really like Steven Silas too, man. It hurts me to say that. I was his number one defender when I would have given him one more year, actually. But I think the fact that Ime Udoka was hot on the market after everything cooled down from his controversy, he'd already taken the team to the finals. It was clear that this team needed toughness, needed discipline, and it didn't seem like Steven Silas was giving them that. And the proof is in the pudding. I mean, you look at the way the year went. That's just, I think the proof is in the pudding that Ime Udoka was the right guy for the job. He got them to play defense. For most of the season, they hovered around, top 5, top 10 in defense all season. The offense was a little bit better. Not great. Could have been better, but at the same time, the guy you were counting on to do the bulk of your scoring was really struggling for most of the season.
So let's see. Ime Udoka, what else do I want to give him credit for? Holding players accountable despite their status on the team. We saw many games where Jalen Green was benched in the fourth quarter. We saw games where Alperen Şengün was benched in the fourth quarter. If you weren't playing well, then you weren't playing, period. And so he had no problem having Jeff Green play extended minutes, having Aaron Holiday play extended minutes. Once Amen Thompson was healthy, Amen Thompson was playing great at the point guard position. So when Jalen wasn't getting the job done, it didn't matter that he was the number 2 overall draft pick. It didn't matter, how much money, a few years. Ime Udoka played the guys who were playing hard and who wanted to play. And so I give him credit for that. I give him credit for not resting players for no reason. Jalen Green played 82 games this season in an era where people sit out if their pinky is sore. Like, I give him credit for that too. And I give Jalen credit for that. Even though he struggled, he was available. And that's worth something for sure. And I think that we have to give Ime a little bit of credit for Jalen's turnaround. He stuck with him. He kept coaching him hard. He didn't pander to him at all. But he also didn't waver from a lot of people were putting pressure on the Rockets to get rid of Jalen Green at the trade deadline. And Ime Udoka always had his back. And he said what I've been saying, what I truly believe. There's nobody else on this team that can do what Jalen Green does when Jalen Green is on. And so that's another reason I think Ime Udoka deserves a lot of credit. I just want you guys to know that I see you in the chat. My wife is here. Thank you so much. Facebook user, you're still Facebook user. If you can let me know who you are, at least that way I know it's you. But I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I appreciate you listening to the show as always. So here's some critiques. For Rafael Stone, I actually don't have any for this season. He kind of stayed out of the way. He had a good draft. And the Rockets clearly agree with me because they just extended his contract. According to Adrian Wojnarowski and according to Jonathan Fagan, who is a Rockets beat writer, I don't know all the details, but it is apparently a multiple-year extension. And so the Rockets clearly agree with me that this 19-game turnaround was enough to justify giving him an extension. So that's really exciting. Let's see. You guys give me just a second. You guys let me know if my stream is my stream still streaming? It looks slightly frozen from where I'm sitting, but that could be because I'm having issues with the actual website. Okay, so what do I want to critique Ime Udoka for? The only thing I can critique him for is he said he wanted to make the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs. They didn't even make the play-in. To be fair, the West was tough this year. And once again, who was supposed to be his best player, was playing like hot boo-boo for most of the season. So it's not really all that surprising to me that I can't say, okay. At the beginning of the year, I said I thought that the Rockets would improve, that they would fall just short of being in the play-in, and that's what they did. So I can't really be disappointed, but at the same time, based on the way they started the season, based on some of the teams they beat, based on the way they looked oftentimes throughout the season, you can't help but wonder, could this team have been better if Jalen Green was playing well, if Alperen Şengün didn't get hurt? At this point, it's neither here nor there. It is what it is. I still am very excited about the Houston Rockets' future. I read today on the internet that someone asked Ime Udoka what his parting words for Jalen Green were after his strong finish to the season. And Ime Udoka's words were, start earlier, do it earlier. I could not agree with you more, coach. And that's probably why you are the right coach for this job, because you tell it like it is. Fertitta, what did I critique Fertitta for? You know what? I critiqued Tillman Fertitta for not giving me my media credential when I applied for it. Come on, bro. I'm the president of Houston Sports Nation. Hook a brother up. I understand why he didn't, though. And guys, one of the things that I'm going to be doing is turning Houston Sports State of the Union podcast / Stevenson Media into an official media company, LLC, so that I can get my media credential. And then I will truly be an insider for all of your Houston sports teams. Something I've been criticized about recently, and we'll get into it later, for not being as an insider. I never claimed to be an insider. This show, I call myself the president of Houston sports because I represent you, the fans. I am a fan. And that is the whole point of this entire thing. Let's see. It was glitchy for a second, but you're still good on YouTube. Okay, you guys let me know about Facebook and all the other streams. Make sure we're good. I hope so. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and for your feedback. Okay. We have to say goodbye because I'm pretty sure this guy's not going to be back next season. We have to say goodbye to the ultimate leader on the Houston Rockets this season. Didn't play very much, but he is a man of the people. He is a man everybody loves. Ladies and gentlemen, Boban Barjanovic.
Tonight, all jerseys are 40% off. Shop right now at rocketshop.com. So fans are getting excited here. There might potentially be some free chicken on the board if he misses his second free throw.
Oh man, free chicken on the board.
Yeah, so that's why the fans are getting a little frothy.
Oh, they're pointing to Boban's playing with the crowd. Say, you want chicken?
Here's your job.
Oh, he gave him chicken. He's a man of the people. He's a man of the people.
Think he did that on purpose?
He did. He gave out free chicken.
Boban Barjanovic, a man of the people. He hooks the Clippers fans up with some free chicken from Chick-fil-A by missing 2 free throws on purpose. The Clippers might re-sign him now that he did that. That was an awesome moment. I love Boban. I know that you guys probably feel like he was a waste of a roster spot. But Boban Barjanovic is the only dude I would see get subbed in late in the game, like whether it's a blowout because the Rockets were winning or losing. On the road, you would sub in Boban and the crowd would be cheering. And every time he scored, the crowd would be cheering. So that was a great moment. And I think my man Ryan Hollins hooked us up with the greatest sound drop in Houston sports podcast history so far.
Oh, he gave him chicken. Oh, he gave him chicken.
Hey, that's what you say when you go to the Mexican restaurant and you order beef fajitas, but they mess your order up.
Oh, he gave him chicken.
Why?
Oh, he gave him chicken.
Bro. Yeah, Ryan Hollins, you will never live that one down with me. It's a great call and a horrible call
Oh, he gave him chicken.
at the same time. He was just really happy and excited about that chicken. So, yeah, Boban's probably not going to be back next season. Unfortunately, I like the guy. He's probably he'll either be a Clipper, dare I say maybe a Laker, because he's going to Hollywood so he can make commercials, so he can make movies. That dude is a rock star, and I love him. So I'm going to give the Rockets leadership grade. I'm going to say it's an A-, which is pretty good. Like I said, 19-game turnaround, built a culture, built an identity, had a really good draft, but you said you wanted to make the playoffs and you missed it. So I couldn't give you an A or an A+. I'm going to give you an A-, which I think is pretty good. My man P. Scott says, not all heroes wear capes. Salute. I'm telling you, man, I've been to those games where a lot of stadiums do that. If the opponent misses back-to-back free throws, you get free Jack in the Box, free Chick-fil-A, something like that. I've been to one of those games, and like the last one I went to, it was a very tight game. It was between Dallas. My wife and I went to a Dallas and Rockets game last season. Luka Doncic is a video game, first of all. This dude had 8 points at halftime, and he finished with almost 50. But we went to the game, and everybody was yelling as loud as they could because I can't remember which player it was. I think it was Tim Hardaway Jr. was shooting free throws, and he missed the first one. And I've never heard a regular season, a team that's 50 games under 500 damn near, that stadium was so loud trying to get that dude to miss that free throw. And he made it. And everybody was really, really mad because we didn't get our free chicken. But shout out to Boban for hooking the Clip fans up with their free chicken. The Clips They just might go on to win the championship now. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, so yeah, I give the Houston Rockets an A-. Let's go ahead really quick and do the state of the Houston Texans. All right, we've been praising the leadership of the Houston Texans ever since the beginning of last season. Of all the hype around D'Amico Ryans and all the hype around the draft coming up, the draft that we had, I think we got to give our flowers to Nick Caserio, D'Amico Ryans, and the McNairs. We talked about this in one of the rehearsals. The McNairs have completely changed the narrative around this team. We all know the problems that surrounded Bob McNair at times. The comments he made about inmates running the prison. There were stories from some of the black players that when they were celebrating Barack Obama becoming president, he was not very happy about it. We know some of the controversy that was there. And while, listen, this is what I'll say. Bob McNair is the reason Houston has football. His personal politics, his personal beliefs aside, that doesn't really matter to me. I will always remember him as the man who returned football to a city that deserves and should always have football. And so I give the McNairs credit, though, for in the last 3-4 years, the Texans did not have a good reputation around the league. They did not have a very good outlook as far as the future. And just like that, they turned it around. And I think the McNairs deserve a lot of credit for that. Hannah McNair deserves a lot of credit for it. I told you guys, like, she's in the tunnel doing the nay-nay, high-fiving, dabbing up players. Like, all of a sudden, players want to play here now. So we have to give the McNairs credit for that. Obviously, D'Amico Ryans being the great defensive coach that he is, being the great leader of men that he is, anybody who's ever played with him, played for him, have nothing but glowing things to say about him. Nick Caserio is the one that's a trip, because Nick Caserio was in New England for a long time and had a lot of success for a long time. And it's kind of funny that New England used to draft really, really well. As soon as he left, New England had some horrible drafts. And the Texans, even when they were not doing well record-wise, they were drafting some really good players. So you start to wonder, like, how much was Bill Belichick really the brains behind that? And I said this a couple of weeks ago. I thought that Caserio was on the verge of being fired from here until he got D'Amico Ryans and until he got C.J. Stroud. But lo and behold, what do you know? If you have your quarterback and you have your coach, all of a sudden you look like a genius. And I think he does look like a genius, but I think he deserves credit for what he's done. My brother says, what's the call-in number? I will be putting up the call-in number in just a little bit. I hope I have the phones forwarded. We'll find out. But yeah, I will look forward to hearing from you guys about what you think about the leadership from all of our teams as well. We will have a call-in segment a little bit later. So I thought D'Amico displayed really good leadership. He had a press conference yesterday. CJ had a press conference. Will Anderson also had a press conference. But the one that stuck out to me really was our head coach's. He was asked, with all the hype around this team, with all the expectation, because of the additions of Stephon Diggs, because C.J. Stroud was Offensive Rookie of the Year, because Will Anderson Defensive Rookie of the Year, how was the team going to handle all of that outside expectation? I thought his answer was fantastic.
I appreciate the question, but we're always hunting. That doesn't change for us. We're always hunting. Expectations on the outside, whatever that may be, it really doesn't change who we are, right? It doesn't. The expectations from the outside don't permeate inside our building, and now we have to change what we're doing just because of outside expectations. It really doesn't matter, all right? My message, our focus as a team it's always been consistent, the same as it was last year, is, man, you show up and we continue to get better every single day. You're the best at your position, you're the best for our team, then that's what wins games, right? For us, when everybody is really striving, putting the work in, right, to be better. And that's what it's all about. We don't care about expectations. Talk doesn't win games. We have to go out and play good football when that time comes.
That's my coach, bro. Perfect answer. But it's D'Amico Ryans. He always gives the perfect answer. But he's right. And I've been saying the same thing. Like, I'm really excited about the Texans. On paper, they look like they're going to be amazing. But you start to wonder and you worry a little bit about some younger players, man. You start feeling yourself too soon. Vince Young had a really good rookie season. He looked like he might be a world beater. RG3 had a great rookie season. Now, RG3, his issue was more injury than anything, but there's been a lot of great rookie seasons that were not followed up with great careers. So he also mentioned in that same press conference that it's going to be really important for those young players to work even harder than they did the season before, because now they got tape on you. Now they know your tendencies. Now they have a game plan of how they're going to stop you from doing the things you do well. So while I remain extremely optimistic and extremely exciting, like, they got to put on the pads, man. They got to strap up and they got to show that they can do it. But I believe the leadership, look, Nick Caserio, he's drafted well. D'Amico turned a train wreck into a bullet train that's humming down the track smoothly, quietly. The McNairs, once again, have done a 180 on the perception of this team. And I think they've done so, honestly, by embracing the diverse nature of Houston's culture. There was a time that you went into Reliant Stadium, now NRG Stadium, and maybe you felt like it wasn't a place where everybody belonged. And I think they've done a really good job of embracing all of Houston culture now. And it's turned around the perception, once again, of the entire organization. And they're doing a great job. And here's what I know. Them reaching out to the fans and embracing the culture, that's been a really big theme while the Texans are really hyping up these new uniforms that are supposed to be coming. There's actually a whole documentary on their YouTube channel, which I've put the link in the description. I put the link in there so you guys can go watch this behind the scenes hype video. If you guys don't know, the jerseys will be revealed on April 23rd. I'm actually going to be doing a show on April 23rd. So maybe we'll do like a reveal party. I don't know if my brother might be at the actual reveal party since he's a season ticket holder now. He'll have to let me know. But they're really hyping up these unis, man. And there was even some hint that there's going to be a H-Town blue, which we talked about that last week, what that might mean. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. All I know is they better be fire because they are really hyping this thing up. And I swear to goodness, if they are anything like the Jets' new uniforms, have you guys seen these? I'm not a Jets fan, but can somebody please tell me what's new about this at all? It looks like the same uniforms they've been wearing. I do like the black one. The black one's nice. Do I have any Jet fans in the chat by chance? Like, tell me. And like, I'm on social media and Jets fans are getting really mad. Like, oh, you're obviously a newbie to football if you don't understand how do they look different? The Jets have used that font before on the helmet. I don't know. Is it because the collar's white? Somebody help me out. I don't know. But all I know is if the Houston Texans on the 23rd come with some boodanky stank like this, after all this hype, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be mad. And Ryan Hollins, if they disappoint us with these uniforms, how do you think they should make it right?
Oh, they gave him chicken!
They should give us chicken. Absolutely. So the Texans are going to have 4 jerseys, if I'm not mistaken, and a 3rd helmet, which they are, from what the McNairs are saying, they are the first team in NFL history to ever have a 3rd helmet. Well, yeah, because they have the blue, the red, and then whatever this other helmet's going to be. There's a lot of speculation that it's going to be what they're calling H-Town blue, because I guess they can't call it powder blue or I love you blue. There's a lot of rumors that there's going to be an ode to the Houston Oilers in there and that the fans were the ones who were really clamoring for that. So we'll see. We'll see. DJ Mulatto says they had all those colors and jerseys. Yeah, I don't get what's new about the Jets jerseys at all. Somebody, like I said, if you're a Jets fan, help me out because I have no clue. So that's something to really look forward to. Look, the Texans' lease in NRG Stadium is up in 2032. I fully expect that by then, the Texans will have reached heights that they've never reached up to this point. Whatever that means. AFC Championship game, number 1 seed in the playoffs. Dare I say a Super Bowl appearance or win? But I believe, unlike the Houston Oilers, that this team seems to be, or the city seems to be so enamored with. I think the Texans are here to stay, and I think they finally have an organization that will be able to sustain relevancy moving forward, at least for the next decade plus. As long as number 7's there, as long as D'Amico's there, I think we're going to be fine. So I would give the Texans leadership grade an A. That's pretty good. I can't give them an A plus because I don't know. A plus, I don't think you get an A plus till you at least make an AFC Championship game, right? But they're on the verge, man. They're going to be getting there soon. And I'm very excited about Houston Texans football, and you guys should be as well. Well, now that we're all good and happy, really quick, let's go ahead and do the state of the Houston Astros. The Astros game started 13 minutes ago. I hope they're not down by 15 runs already. You guys let me know if you're watching. And I'm going to get out of here relatively quick. So you guys, if you guys want to watch the NBA play-in games, if you guys want to go watch the Astros, hell, you guys may be watching that stuff already. But once again, there's 1,000 different things you could be doing tonight. And here you are with me. So thank you guys so much. All right. The Astros leadership has changed so much. I don't think I can really give them a grade because, you know, Joe Espada, this is his first year. Dana Brown, I mean, like Jeff Bagwell was pretty much the Astros GM over the last year and a half. So I don't want to give them a grade yet. There are some things I'm concerned about. Like my early reaction to this season is why in the hell did you give Josh Hader $95 million? If you knew, like I didn't know because I'm not in the building, but you had to know that starting pitching was unstable. All the people that are hurt, all the people that are old. I mean, did they know the bullpen was going to struggle the way that it has been? And that's why they gave Hader $95 million. But Hader's not been good so far. After his first game, and I don't think his stuff looked like the ball looks good coming out of his hand. It's got pop to the fastball. It's just high. And he's not hitting his spots. Like it's pretty obvious. And he's getting crushed. So it's still early though. Like but that's just my knee-jerk reaction. Like right now, 15, 20 games into the season, handing Hader all of that money is not looking super great right now. K32 on YouTube wants to know what my favorite year for the Astros is. Okay. I will answer that question. Let me finish with my assessment of their leadership. I will answer that question. But yeah, like I said, that's a knee-jerk reaction. I don't like that Astros fans are really panicked right now. We discussed this last week, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but make up your mind. You guys were ready to fire Joe Espada literally like 3 days ago. Depending on the score right now, you might be ready to fire him again. But they won 2 out of 3 against the Rangers, and I saw you guys talking mad mess to Rangers fans, saying, oh, you guys are going to crawl back under your rock now. Listen, Astros fans, there's some very, very loyal, diehard Astros fans, but the majority of us have no room to talk crap about bandwagoners, okay? I used to go to Minute Maid Park in 2011. Nobody was there. And every time they played the Rangers, the place was packed. All of a sudden, the Astros got good, the Rangers were trash, and you couldn't. All of a sudden, it was a sea of orange again. You better believe that some of those people who were wearing that sea of orange in 2010, 2011, 2012 were probably wearing Rangers gear. We know it's true. It was those, well, I root for Texas teams types of people. Listen, you're welcome here to listen to this show. I appreciate it. I cannot say that this show represents you, though, because this show represents H-Town 10 toes down. So Astros fans, like, let's make up our minds, first of all. Are we happy with the team? Or do we want to fire everybody and think the sky is falling? It seems like, to me, you win 2 games in a row and you want to flex. You lose a few in a row and all of a sudden you want to fire everybody. Let's just calm down a little bit. I've said this last week. Like, if you've rocked with baseball for a while, it's a long season, a really long season. Baseball is like 4 seasons in one. So let's just stay calm. Nobody's running away with our division. That's the good news. The Texas Rangers don't look that great either. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but Jose Altuve right now is like one of the best hitters in baseball. I mean, he always has been, but he's having a great season. The dude's hitting over 400. He's like 4th in home runs, RBIs. He's like 11th or something, or 7th. Like, he's doing great. He's doing amazing. There's positives, there's negatives. There's still enough time for this team to get it together. But like I said, I can't give the leadership a grade right now because they're still too fresh. See me at the end of the season. We'll see what we'll talk about. K32, I'm not sure what your name is, but I appreciate you being here. You've left a couple of comments. You said RG3 was that guy. He really was. Like, the unfortunate part with RG3 was the knee injury. And he asked, or she asked, what is your favorite year for the Astros? Okay. I know this is controversial, but obviously my favorite year is the year they won the World Series for the first time. I know the controversy. I know the cheating scandal. I understand all of that. But I didn't cheat, and 2017 Nick Stevenson didn't know about the cheating while he was watching it. All he saw was a team he'd been cheering for from the time he was 5-6 years old finally win a World Series. And that memory will forever be wonderful to me. I will not let what happened in 2017 take that away from me. That being said, I don't know if I want to say it's my second favorite year, but I believe the greatest Astros team of all time, probably one of like the greatest baseball teams of all time, was the 2019 Houston Astros. No, they did not win the World Series. They couldn't even win a home game in the World Series. But that team is the best Astros team that has ever existed. And it's just really weird that they didn't win the World Series that year, especially that they lost to the Washington Nationals, who were very similar to the 2005 Astros, started off the season terrible, got really hot, and the only difference is they were able to finish the job in the World Series. But yes, 2017 is my favorite Astros year. Judge me, tell all the cheating jokes and all the trash can jokes that you want to. That's my favorite Houston sports. That's my favorite Astros season and one of my favorite Houston sports moments of all time. DJ Mulatto checks in. He says it's 0-0, just started. Yeah, I'm going to get you guys out of here pretty soon. Let me go ahead and do the leadership of the president of Houston sports, yours truly. What's my grade? Well, here's the things I want to give myself credit for. I give myself credit for admitting I don't know about soccer and bringing on somebody who does. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can I? Yes. I also want to give myself credit for keeping Astros fans calm. Just a few weeks into the season, when everybody wants to jump ship or fire everybody, like, let's stay calm. I give myself credit for that. I give myself credit for keeping composure when I have technical difficulties. Yes, thank you. Those of you who've been watching the show for quite some time, you know I've had a lot of technical difficulties going all the way back to my rehearsals. Just things were not going well. But I was able to still, in my opinion, my humble opinion, put out some pretty decent content that I'm proud of, and that I hope that you're proud of as well, and that I hope will keep bringing you guys back. Okay. I want to give myself some critique now, though, and I think a good leader is able to do that. So I'll give myself credit for critiquing myself. This last few weeks, I have not done a very good job of ignoring the haters. First of all, guys, I have haters. Yeah. I have haters. Hey, Ryan Hollins, how do you feel about that?
Oh, he gave him chicken.
Give them haters chicken. Well, I haven't been giving the haters chicken. I've been giving the haters what they want, and that's my attention, and I don't like it. I addressed way too many haters this week. It started on TikTok. I posted a video it was a video clip of last week when I was talking about O.J. Simpson and how O.J. Simpson and all the circus around that whole case really took the two people who got murdered, Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman, and they were afterthoughts. So I want to play you the clip that I played. I want to play you the clip that I posted on TikTok so that you guys can see what I said in that clip. Let's see. Where is it? Then I caught myself being entertained by the murder of two people who are almost an afterthought at this point. We know OJ, we know the Bronco chase, we know the glove, we know Johnny Cochran, Marsha Clark, the trial of the century. Meanwhile, there's two families mourning still the loss of two lives, a brother, son, a cousin, a mother, a sister, an aunt, gone forever. And every time OJ does something, or even now that he's gone, they're going to have to relive the horror of what happened in 1994 all over again. And that part doesn't really sit well with me. Okay, so if you're looking at this, the response to a very honest and heartfelt statement about how I felt about the O.J. Simpson trial and all the circus that surrounded it. Some gentleman by the name of John V says, how about say their names? You mentioned the murderer's name and some unmurdered attorney's names. The words you're looking for are Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. Say them. I don't know if that's how he was really saying it when he typed it, but that's how I heard it. And so I actually had several responses before this. You know, I said, hey, you'd have a really good point if in the actual show I didn't say their names. But I responded, if you don't watch my show, you don't know anything about me, my thoughts, my intentions. You attempting to pass judgment on my character, reacting with this faux outrage about something that isn't real makes you appear truly ignorant. I'm sure that rather than show some humility and apologize for casting uninformed aspersions upon me, you'll do the narcissistic thing and find some reason that you're right and I'm wrong. That's fine. I bid you well, kind sir. And I hope that you find joy somewhere in your life that prevents you from being an angry internet troll. I'm sorry, guys. That was way too much response. Way too much response. But I was defending myself because let's listen to what I actually said in context. That's not it. I truly believe that O.J. Simpson murdered two people. Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman are forever lost in the hysteria of that entire thing. I've been guilty of it myself. I watched The People vs. O.J. like 5 times. I loved it, regrettably. I've watched every documentary about that case 500 times. And then I caught myself being entertained by the murder of two people. Two people who are almost an afterthought at this point. We know OJ, we know the Bronco chase, we know the glove, we know Johnny Cochran, Marsha Clark, the trial of the century. Meanwhile, there's two families mourning still the loss of two lives. A brother, a son, a cousin, a mother, a sister, an aunt. Gone forever. And every time OJ does something, or even now that he's gone, they're going to have to relive the horror of what happened in 1994 all over again. And that part doesn't really set well with me. So this is what I'll say. To the family of O.J. Simpson, I'm sure you're hurting. I'm sure you're mourning his loss. Somewhere in that guy, past the narcissism, if you can ignore that, I'm sure there's people in OJ's life that he was really good to. And for those people, I offer you my condolences. To the Brown family, the Goldman family, I offer my condolences to you for having to relive this, relitigate this. I imagine there's going to be some press members with a camera all in your face all of a sudden wanting to know how you feel about OJ dying. And that sucks, man. Like, I wish we as a society could just do a little bit better than that, man. Context is so important. Now, should I just have ignored that guy? Probably. But, I mean, he was essentially accusing me of being disingenuous in my statement because I didn't say the names of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. And that whole, like, say their name thing, to me, that's really disingenuous. Like, he would have a really great point if this wasn't the largest murder trial in American history. When I say the O.J. Simpson trial and all of the shenanigans around it overshadowed the two people who got murdered, you know who I'm talking about. And you with your faux outrage of, oh, say their names. Come on, bro. See, I'm getting mad about it. I'm not. Why? Thank you. DJ Mulatto says, damn, John, do you even watch the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast? No, he doesn't. And that was my point. I had to respond to another hater. Why can't I get my buttons right today? That's not the one. Here we go. This was the video where I was saying that the Houston Astros, if they're at or below 500, might do a fire sale, might not. Mr. Dylan Williams says, God, podcasts are the worst. Just because you have a mic and a stream doesn't make your opinion valuable. These podcasters people likely know less than you. I don't know who he's talking to, but that's kind of a compliment if he was talking to me. But maybe he was talking to my audience that he believes doesn't exist. My petty response was, I prefer to call myself president of Houston Sports, but if you want to refer to me as God, I accept. Thanks for the view and the comment. Heart emoji. This dude kept going. And so I DM'd him. I said, yo, man, here's my number. I got a guest lined up this week, but April 23rd, man, hit me up. We'll make this happen. And he gave the classic cop-out. Why would I come support a dying podcast? Let's debate live and not an edited podcast. Anybody who watches my show, you guys know this show is not edited. It's live. It's in living color. He says, let me be more clear. Your pod has tens of followers. That says enough. Again, let's debate live, and I can give support to a podcast. I can't give support to a podcast I don't agree with. So my podcast is big enough for you to shit on it publicly, but you don't have the balls to come on this show and explain why I shouldn't be the president of Houston Sports Nation? I'm sorry. I just kept going. Sir, you said my podcast was dying when in fact it's just getting started. I said, I knew you wouldn't put your money where your thumbs are. This conversation's going nowhere. I bid you farewell. Best of luck. See, I was trying to be nice, but still, I gave in, man. And he said, just admit you're afraid to play an away game. You need home field advantage, blah, 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 blah. Why did I give this dude the time of day? Why? I don't know. I felt the need to defend myself and defend my show. And that happens to me a lot. But what I need to learn is that anytime you're doing anything, if you've got haters, you need to embrace that. It means you're doing something right. Something is wrong with them on the inside that is causing them to look at you trying to do something good, trying to do something positive, and they can't stand it. And it's not even you. Don't take it personal. There's something that they don't like about themselves. And so it makes them feel better to hate on you. But I got to do a better job. So between the things I gave myself credit for and the things that I'm critiquing myself on, I would say as of right now, my presidential leadership grade, I'm going to give myself a B-. I have to. And that's unfortunate. I'm sorry, guys. As your president, you deserve better than a B-. But I promise you that I will continue to every day try to be better than I was the day before. And I think that is the sign of a good leader. Okay, guys, so what's our State of the Union for this week? I say the State of the Union is still strong. Yes, the Astros apparently might be getting their ass kicked right now. And yes, the Houston Rockets did not make the play-in. And the Texans, although they look very promising, they still got to put it on the field. But I think we have optimism about the Texans. We have optimism about the Rockets. And we should still have optimism about the Astros. If you've been an Astros fan for a long time, once again, we've seen this before. Now, this is the worst start they've gotten off to since 2013, 2014. I get it. But like I said, nobody's running away with the division. The Angels aren't that good. I don't think the Rangers are honestly that good. The Rangers have some injuries that they need to recover from also, but so do the Astros. I told you guys last week, the people who should be our entire starting rotation, they're on the IL. So there's no reason to believe that the State of the Union for Houston sports is not great. But fans, we got to do better. Stop doing the damn wave at the game. Like, you shouldn't do it at all. I hate the wave. What are your guys' feelings about the wave? I really, 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 really hate the wave. I've told my wife this. We were at the game and like people are doing the wave around us and I'm just sitting in my chair like, because the game we were watching, it was a close game. If it's the 8th inning and it's a 2-run game, like you should be watching the game, be engaged in the game. The only time you do the wave is if you're up by 15 runs and it's like the 8th or 9th inning. If you're going to do the wave, which I really, really think you shouldn't. Like, I want to ban the wave from Houston sports. But Astros fans, like, you got to do better. Like, tell me you're not paying attention without telling me you're not paying attention is doing the wave. Stop it. Stop doing that. But despite that, despite you guys wanting to fire Joe Espada every 15 seconds, even after you were begging for him to be the coach over Dusty Baker, Houston fans, we got to do a little bit better in that regard. But our teams are good. We're good. I say the State of the Union in Houston is strong. Guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Really quick before I get out of here, I do want to remind you of the ways you can support the show. One, you've been commenting, you've been sharing, you've been here watching. Thank you guys so much. Like, that is everything. I told you guys at the beginning, this podcast is dependent on you. All of the things that I want to do, all the aspirations that I have, at the end of the day, the buck starts and stops with you. If you're not watching, I'm sitting in this room talking to myself. If you're not listening, I'm in this room talking to myself. Guys, if you aren't able to catch the live show every week, you can always go back to YouTube, always go back to the social medias on Facebook, Twitch. You can watch the show that week. It's going to be there forever, days afterward. If you don't like watching, you guys can listen on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Amazon Music. There's so many ways to take in the content. I've put the Linktree link in the description of this video. So you guys, please go check out the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast. Follow the social media. I really want to embrace the city of Houston, embrace the fans, and I want to help us grow this thing together. I want us to help each other grow this thing together. The tip jar, I'm getting good at pointing at it now. There's a QR code. There's a link in the description. You guys, if you want to leave me a tip to say thank you for bringing you this awesome podcast, I appreciate it. If you leave me $50 or more, I will send you a Houston Sports State of the Union t-shirt. Remember, I need you to screenshot that you sent me that $50 and either send it to me in my DMs or my email, which is hsstateoftheunionpod@gmail.com. Otherwise, I won't know that it's you who donated the $50 because it's all anonymous. And then I have the affiliate links, the featured fan gear of the week. I also have affiliate links for all of the podcast equipment I use to bring you guys this lovely show. If you want to purchase it and give me a little cha-ching-ching, I get commission on any of the affiliate links that you guys use. So I appreciate that very much. And lastly, once again, sponsorship. If you would like your business to be scrolling its information on the ticker above me, if you want to hear a live read of your business, if you want a ad to play before and after the show for your business, you guys contact me at hsstateoftheunionpod@gmail.com. And I would love to talk about what my plan is to help grow your business. And to be honest with you, help grow my business as well. Let's get in business together. So guys, thank you so much for tuning into the show. You guys go watch the Astros, cheer them on like hell. Some of you may be going to watch the Lakers versus Pelicans, and then I believe the Kings and the Warriors later tonight. Look, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. You guys, you turn on the news, you see it. But every now and again, we get to turn on a sports game or a sports podcast and just escape that for a little bit. I thank you guys so much for doing that with me tonight. In the meantime, I want you to stay 10 toes down for H-Town, and I will see you guys next week. Love you.
This has been the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast, hosted by Nick Stevenson. Tune in next week for more news and analysis of your favorite Houston teams. Please follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, the app, formerly known as Twitter, if that's even really still a thing. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content.